And we're live. I'd like to welcome everybody to the Let's Talk Fishing video podcast. My name is James. I'm going to be your host. First thing I'd like to tell you is the Northern Illinois Sports and Outdoor Show is going to take place from January 13th to the 16th of 2022, guys. And that's 4 days of sports shows. It's going to be at the Lake County Fairgrounds. That's in Grays Lake, Illinois. Speaking of the Northern Illinois Sports Show, I have a guy on tonight who's going to be all over that sports show. He's going to be on the walleye panel. He's going to be doing seminars, and he's going to have his own booth. So I have none other than pro walleye angler and Northwoods of Wisconsin walleye guide, Bill Kutka. How you doing tonight, Bill?
I'm doing great. Cold up here in the tundra, Jay, but I'm down here hunkered up in the basement. I couldn't get Wi-Fi out in the pole barn, so you're down in our little lodge down here, but doing well, thank you.
Yes, I hear one of our friends is not so fortunate tonight.
Yeah, I just want to take a moment, and I got goosebumps, and if I wear my heart on my sleeve, so I just want to take a moment and recognize Mike Hansen. A lot of folks out there know Mike from Ottawa, Illinois, Starved Rock Guide Service. Mike took ill now over about 31 days ago. He's down with COVID pneumonia.
Oh.
And yep, he was in ICU up in Ottawa, and they transferred him down to Peoria probably less than a week ago. So, I just, I love the guy. For those that know him, it too, and we're all honored to know him. And those that don't know him, I hope that one day you can meet him. And his life is hanging. You take it for granted. I just saw him out in Lake Erie in November. I was out there, and we're sitting on his boat, out in front of Erie Outfitters, out there for the fall brawl and the slam, and just peeing, laughing, just how Mike is, and telling each other stories, telling each other bull crap, and just say, hey, see ya. And God, I could cry right now. But also his daughter has established a GoFundMe site, and I'm just asking everyone to reach in, $5, $20, $100. Danielle Hansen, HONSON. Ping me. We'll give you all my information here in a minute, Joe or Jay, and I can direct the folks to it. But any little bit helps.
Okay, so GoFundMe. What is it? What do you know what it's called?
Jay, we just talked about it before we went on the air. I'll look at it here if I can in a second. But if you go on GoFundMe and you search Mike Hansen, HONSON, you're gonna find it. I'll see how it's titled here, and yeah. So it would just be awesome if folks could do it.
Okay. I got that on my scroll bar right now.
Okay. Yep. Thank you so much. Yep.
I read about him. He's actually been intubated. And
yes.
Mike Hansen actually helped me get this. Hold on, let me compose myself. Mike Hansen helped me get this started. So anyways, God, please help him. That's all I got to say about that.
Yep. Don't take anything for granted.
All right. So let's talk about the NWT.
Yeah.
So next year, where are you going to be starting?
Well, we kick it off the end of March on the Detroit River, March 31st and April 1st. Then it moves over to Chamberlain, April 28th. Yeah. And then Prairie du Chien in June on June 9th, and ends up in Marinette on July 14th. So pretty interesting schedule.
Marinette. That's Green Bay, right?
Yes, sir. Yep.
Ooh, the Menominee River.
Yep.
I have caught some pigs out of the Menominee River.
Yep. They'll be out in the bay at that time, but yeah, it's a great launching site. Last year in June or May we were in Sturgeon Bay, So now will be July across the bay, and access to good areas to fish, or where we'll be fishing.
Wow. Yeah, you can go north and go up to Little Bay, or go out to the Horseshoe.
Wherever that 400 Verado sends me, Jay.
400 Verado, man. Wow. I remember the days when a 150 was considered big.
Yeah.
So you also guide, don't you?
I do. I've got a guide service up here in Hayward, Wisconsin. All the Hayward area lakes, Lake Superior. I'll go down to the Mississippi and St. Croix rivers. I'm going to start guiding out in Lake Erie in 2022. I've got a U.S. Coast Guard Master Captain's license, so been talking to Kelly, my wife, about it, and going to concentrate some trips out there in Lake Erie, and whether it's 2, 3, or 4 weeks at a time, and build up a batch. Yeah.
Wow. That's really something. Well, I can't. Boy, from the St. Croix River up to all the lakes of Hayward. So, like Big Spider Lake.
Yeah. I'll concentrate on the lakes up here, of course. It's my home court. Know them well, and I'll travel on request. To certain areas, but yeah, we've got, gosh, and as a matter of fact, 2 of the 4 seminars I'm doing next week are going to be on Hayward, Wisconsin walleye fishing.
There you go.
Yep,
You're going to be doing that at
30-minute seminars, and it takes 5 minutes to say hello and goodbye, 10 minutes for questions. So, my goal is to give them some ahas and a couple takeaways on things that, when they get up here, what to try. Because you've got tens of lakes, you've got different color or different conditions of water quality and in depth and contour. So where do you start? So again, it's gonna be my goal to give them a couple takeaways, where they can come up here and have some confidence.
Sure. We might have to put on those earphones.
Oh, okay, sure.
We're getting quite an echo. And of course, now it's gone.
I won't move around.
Of course, now the echo's gone.
Are you good?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, good. I don't know what was causing that echo, but it was there, and it's not there anymore. So you were going to talk about some different presentations that you like to use for catching walleyes.
Yeah, that'll be part of my next week again. I've got 4 seminars. 2 of them will be on Hayward, Wisconsin walleye fishing. One will be an hour on Lake Erie. I'm going to do tips, tactics, and techniques, and try to give some advantage to some folks to go out there. Then the other one's going to be on trolling for walleye. How to properly, find fish through trolling. I think people just throw a number 5 Shad Rap out and start trolling. It could be that simple, or it could be a lot of different things. So that's my goal, is to teach them the depth of trolling as well. But yeah, you and I have talked quite a bit about jigging, and everyone thinks jigging is the traditional round head jig. You get out there, tip it with a minnow, but jigging is everything from ripping wraps these days to lead baits, to shiver minnows and hyper rattles, and Clam's got this awesome new bait out called a Tika minnow now. It's yep, it's I happen to have one here for you. What I like about this is I think it's a game changer. It's a traditional body, but it's a alloy solid body, no plastic fins. You could run this over with your pickup. Yep. But yeah, we're doing that a lot. It's catching on a lot up here up in Hayward, whether it's the puppet minnow, with Northwind, or the hyper rattle, or the traditional shiver minnow, which I know that you talk a lot about, and it's a big bait, especially started up in the Green Bay area. But basically a lead body bait. We'll fish those anywhere from 15 foot to 50 foot of water up here. You know, you'll find your concentrations through your, you know, I'm blessed with Lowrance electronics. I always believe I don't start fish until I see fish, you know, and I'll never leave fish to find fish, you know, if my fish are biting. And rule 3 is go ahead and leave your fish if they're not biting to find fish, you know. But yeah, we'll do a lot of sight fishing with these minnows, and I'll have my guide customers. They love them. They're very apprehensive in the beginning because it's a different technique, you know.
Well,
You're basically telling someone to throw a piece of lead out there and jerk it back and forth in different cadences, and you kind of lose them until they get that first bite. And they get that first bite, they can't wait to get the bait back in the water again.
well, you know, I was the opposite because I wanted to talk about it. I wanted to learn about it because it's new.
Yeah.
Because you had me excited because you're like, I catch fish on this in the big water, which was traditionally a trolling. What we did on Green Bay is we trolled.
Yep.
Traditionally, you know, way back when I used to fish it a lot in the 90s, you trolled. Up on Little Bay, we did a little bit of throwing baits, but that wasn't when we were tournament fishing. When we were tournament fishing, it was all trolling. You know, we would throw jerk baits over the deep weeds, you know, in the fall, but that's when we were meat fishing, you know.
Yep. Now we'll do this, you know, I'll sight them up with the electronics, and I'll get on it with my active target, you know, with Lowrance, and I'll be able to sight where they're at and mark them. And then we'll go and we'll work them. And the thing about these baits is they're 90% a reaction type bait. You know, walleye will react to this bait, and most times they're going to pin this bait to the bottom. So as you toss it out, you know, if you can imagine tossing it out, you know, 100 foot, 125 foot, let it hit the bottom. It's all about the cadence. What this bait does, it'll come up fast, and you want to drop your rod to it, and then it's going to dart off, right? So you bring it up and it darts off. Then you bring it up, it darts off this way. It's the reaction. And what happens is when you let it get back to the bottom and you come back up, the fish pin it. And it's on. But you're gonna hook them, but they're down and they're holding it down is what they're doing. They're reacting to it. So it's a great bait. It's a bait you can fish areas fast. You know, you can watch the reaction of the fish, and if they don't want to play, you move on. You know, but it's just a great way to move around. And again, different sizes for different depths. Everything. I've been out in 50 foot of water on mid lake humps with these things and just pound on them.
Have you ever? Wow. Have you ever used something like that on Erie?
Yes. Yeah. Not to open up the whole tackle box and toolbox, but yeah, we'll do that because the interesting thing about Lake Erie is they say there's 120 million walleye in that lake right now. The average is 22 inches. So it's like going to recess with everybody from the entire school district out on that playground at the same time trying to play ball. So you got to differentiate, right? And that's part of my seminars next week out in Illinois is, you know, you control. They see the same baits, they see the same actions, they see the same S turns, you know, but you start doing things like this where those big females get away from all those big schools of smaller, and I say small, you know, 20 to 24 inch fish. You start working the fish that are lethargic and don't want to compete, and this type of bait will get them to bite.
I'm different.
Yep. And you know, in the Lake Erie in particular, Jay, you know, it depends on the time of year. As you know, you got the structure on the West Basin, but as you start that migration out east, you don't have those humps and those reefs that you have, you know, west of the islands as much. But there is still change. You know, there's sand flats, there's dumping grounds out there, there's undulations, and those big fish they'll hang on that thing that's different, you know, and you know, it's like us. You know, we hang with a like age, we hang with a like personalities. You know, a 30-inch fish isn't going to hang around with a 15-inch fish, you know, so
It's going to be eaten.
It's funny you said that. I was out in November and I was talking to the DNR. I always like to talk to them anytime I can. And they had a 28-inch walleye. They were doing a study and they were doing a net study. They opened it up and they had a 12-inch walleye in its gut.
Well, imagine 120 million. 120000000.
Yep.
You know, there's only so many bait fish in that. I mean, walleye are eating machines. They don't ever stop eating.
Yep. It's funny you said that too, and you wonder how can they survive? They're getting good hatches, but there's still good bait in there. You got the shad are very, very, very plentiful. The smelt are plentiful. The perch, I think alewives, I think the perch got attacked a little bit. They're coming back. You got the gobies out there that they're eating too, and walleye will eat crayfish too. They do up on the Lake of the Woods.
And also they eat little walleye.
Yeah, exactly.
Fish don't care. They don't have the same prohibition against cannibalism as we do.
Right.
Wow. So you're going to be at the Northern Illinois Sports Show, January 13th through 16th. You're also going to be part of a walleye panel.
Yes.
Why don't you tell us about that?
Yeah, I'm honored actually. Mike Norris, a good friend of mine from back in the day, is going to be our moderator. I'll be alongside Scott Allen, Ted Tagasaki, and Marianne Husky, and it'll be on Sunday afternoon, I think at 2:00. Really looking forward to that. It's an opportunity for me to be with the best.
That's funny you say that because Mike Norris and I go way back too. I mean, way back. I actually was his co-host for a radio show for a couple years. And I probably fished with him 6 or 8 times. Last time I was up north, I fished with him on Big Green. And we caught a lot of smallmouth bass.
I tell you, he really puts a hurt on the bass. He's guiding now, as you know, in southern Wisconsin, and
well, Big Green, yeah.
Yep, and now he's an awesome fisherman and an awesome guy. I look forward to it.
Boy, I've caught walleyes with him. I've caught white bass with him. I've caught saugers with him. Smallmouth bass, largemouth. In fact, I was with him when I caught a lake record smallmouth bass, and that one fish launched my guide career. It only takes one fish,
Yeah.
Because the guy who owned the bait shop took a life-size picture of me, or put up a life-size picture of me, and underneath it said Jay Angel's Fishing Guide Service, and I started getting calls.
There you go.
And I've told Mike about that several times. Thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, that one fish was worth thousands to me.
And it was off to the races, right?
Oh yeah, I was busy after that. In fact, I actually got to buy a better boat. That was fantastic. But so you're going to be doing the walleye panel. You're going to have seminars, and also you're going to have a booth to promote your guide service, correct?
Yeah, my wife Kelly and I will be down there for the duration, and got a great booth and got a great new booth design. I'm really eager to get that up. So I encourage people stop by, talk fishing, book a trip, bring in the booking schedule with us. And, 22 is really shaping up well for me with the guiding and, of course have some slots, but I just love talking fishing, and it's kind of my old home court down that way. I grew up in the Chicago area, lived down in Illinois for 36 years. I've got many, many friends in that area to this day. And, I look forward to, Billy Vojak lives close down there, Mike Goldfron, Rick Boris. So I'm sure I'll see a lot of my old friends down there.
Okay. We just have somebody here now. I'm hoping they'll ask a question. If you guys want to ask a question, just type it in the comments, and of course, Bill will be happy to answer it. Yeah, you're coming back to your home state, man. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's just You know, I miss it, but I tell you what, I'm just so blessed to call Hayward home. Just love it up here, and you know, the
Oh,
diversity of what we have up here is just bar none. You know, I mean, yeah, you've got Lake of the Woods, you got Lake Erie, you got other areas, but for the what this area offers as far as differentiation of species and lake types, and you know, you could compare it to a Detroit Lakes area or Minocqua, I guess, but you know, you can count on one hand the type of area that we live in up here, in
sure.
the upper Midwest,
Man, when I was young, that was my fondest fantasy to live up there.
yeah, it
And when I was in
was.
the Air Force, I got to live close. I was up in Oscoda, Michigan, which is just, a little bit north of where Saginaw Bay ends.
Yep.
And, that was fun. It was fun to live there. But it's nothing like where you live is land of walleyes and whitetails.
Yeah, and it's ever changing up here, as far as fishing, speaking specifically of walleye, there's all the techniques are evolving, whether it's the jigging in the deep water with the lead baits, or open water trolling, in 50, 60 foot of water in the thermoclines with spinners and crankbaits with offshore boards. You'll be out. I had one of my best days this year in August, 81 degrees,
Wow.
no wind, blue skies, and I had two clients in the boat. We went through 53 walleye, and my client got his personal best at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, a 26-inch walleye in 32 foot of water.
On a
So,
bluebird day.
yep. So, just doing things different, and not being afraid to adapt. I learn every day I'm on the water, Jay.
Sometimes fish don't read the book
No,
because obviously that fish did not read the book on what it is to be a walleye.
yep.
Okay, we
And
have
there's days, Jay, I just want to shut all my electronics off and just fish. Because that can also frustrate you too. You're seeing them and they're just not going. And but I agree. They don't live by the rules.
we have a geez. Echoes back. We have a question here. What is Captain Bill's favorite technique this time of the year?
Ice fishing.
I guess it's ice fishing. This guy's from the south, so he probably isn't familiar that your lakes are locked up in ice right now.
Yeah. Well, I'll answer it two ways. I love we even working these baits, over hot fish through the ice. I don't know how far south you are, but at times we can drive our vehicles on the ice up here and ice fish. But my absolute favorite way to catch a walleye is a jig. Traditional jig in a minnow, jig in a leech, jig in a crawler, jig in a plastic. I just love that pursuit. I love finding him, and I just love that tick. It's just yep. That's my absolute favorite.
Then you start
Yep.
give him some line, give him some line, let him take it, let him take it.
I always tell my clients, I said, let them take it and then cross their eyes. Make sure that they remember you. Jigs are cheap.
You remember a guy who fished the PWT by the name of Dwayne White?
Yes.
Dwayne White was one of my best friends. I've fished with him dozens of times. He's no longer with us, but Dwayne used to tell me that you feel that thump, just keep reel down, and then cross their eyes. And
Yep.
he said it was that initial thump when he feels that hook connect with its mouth. He said that's why I fish right there. He said you feel a tap, 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 and then all of a sudden it's just there.
Yep. Yeah, you got to set the hook.
Yeah, that's wow. And I got to do that last week. That was the first time in over a year. I had not set the hook on a fish, and
I saw that. You got a couple nice redfish down there. We talked about a pre-show. The one had 3 spots on it, which was pretty cool. Yep.
I've never caught one with 3. I've caught them with multiple. I've caught leopard reds before. It's not common, but it happens here. But I've never caught one with 3 spots before.
Yeah.
Well, that was a new one. It was kind of cool. It was an 18-inch fish, which, you know, if I hadn't have had that Grant rod, I wouldn't have been able to cast far enough to get out to him, and I definitely would not been able to feel it as I walked down the canal in the changing tide.
Mm-hmm.
The difference between a marsh and a swamp is a marsh has flow through it because of the changing tides, and that's when you want to fish when the tide is changing. And the pinfish were hitting it, pinfish were hitting it, pinfish were hitting. All of a sudden, thump.
Cross their eyes.
Yep, and a Grant rod has enough sensitivity that you can feel the thump, and also you can feel the little taps from the pinfish. And then when the pinfish stop, and then you feel a thump, it's a fish because the pinfish got the heck out of there when they saw the red come in. And and you can feel all that. And I had over 100 feet of line, and I'm feeling it bounce down the channel. And you need a good rod. You need a good rod to be able to feel all that.
And we do the same thing for walleye up here, and you've done it up here too, Jay.
Oh,
Whether
yeah.
you're fishing a river confluence or a break in a river current, you're pitching up, and you can actually hear it. You can actually feel it walking down, and then you get that stop.
I do that all the time on the Illinois River.
Yeah,
slipping the current. But I think the first time I did that up in your area, I was probably about 7 years old.
Okay. Yeah.
It was in the 70s, and I'm sure you went up there in the 70s too. Back when there were dirt roads, the last 15, 20 miles.
Yeah. No, for sure. And I'm going a lot to braid with fluorocarbon leaders now, even in that application. And just you don't get that stretch in the current too. In the fish pools, but more importantly, I like the high vis. So sometimes you just see them flick that line before you even feel it too. And but I love pitching those seams like that.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's exciting. It is exciting. Our vertical jigging on the Illinois.
Yeah, with 2 rods.
Yeah, I actually after doing that for a decade, I went to 1 rod because I had a higher hookup percentage.
You know what I've started doing up here, Jay, and I'll let out a secret, and some guys probably do it. You're sitting there and you're jigging, whether it's 15 or 30 foot of water. You got 1 rod usually with the clients. I'll set up drop shots, and I'll drop shot the walleye, and let those sticks just kind of sit there and work for us while we're jigging as well too. And heck, we've even gotten up to 40-inch northern this year doing that with a sucker minnow, walleye sucker minnow. But that way you're taking advantage of more rods in the water, of course, but it's also kind of an exciting way to watch them hit.
So you're also dead sticking.
That's what we're doing. Yep, setting up a drop shot rig, and come up. I don't know. I vary it 8 inches to sometimes 18 inches off the bottom, and I'll set up that minnow or sucker, and just let that weight hit the bottom, and just put it in the rod holder and take it out when there's a fish on there.
When I was walleye guiding, I'd have out as many rods as the law would allow me to have.
Yeah.
And those would have different things. If we were pitching jigs with leeches on them, I'd have out a slip float on the top of the rock pile with a crawler or a minnow, something different.
Yeah, I'll even slip bobber in those deep areas too, Jay. 30 foot down.
Yeah, there's something different. I like that.
Yep.
Boy, thinking outside the box, I like that, Bill.
Well, you have to. It's just you can do the same old thing, and if it's not working, and you need to adapt. I mean, that's how we are in on the trail. There's the first day of a tournament week or a week and a half, maybe sometimes 2 days. I don't even take my rods out of the rod holder. I'm just going around. I'm looking. I'm checking things out, seeing where the fish are, and see if they're there. Next day if it's a big school like up in Lake Erie. But you got to be able to be adaptable. You know, you can lull yourself into confidence. That's the other thing is what was hot yesterday may not be hot tomorrow, you know?
Well, I think the craziest thing I ever did, there was Team Walleye. You remember that was a long time ago. Team Walleye. We were on the
Yep.
Madison chain, and I was fishing with a guy named Bill Kane. You probably fished against him on the PWT.
Yep.
And I just put on a leech with the smallest little split shot I could find and 6-pound line and casted it out. We were fishing this hump, and there were fish there, but people weren't catching them. And when that leech went down there like this, and it didn't have, and it was practically free lined, I got a bite right away.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, you know, this is just old. That's old school. When the going gets tough, the tough simplify.
Well, it's the same thing, you know. Going back to Mike Hansen, you know, there's days I just thank him, and he doesn't even freaking know I'm thanking him, you know. And you know, you sit there and you work these baits aggressively, you know, they're bouncing, and you know, sometimes if you're in clear water, those fish will see it 25, 30 foot away, and they're curious, and then they just park. So sometimes they want it slower. And Mike has turned me on to Bing spoons, you know, really light spoons. Yep. And I'll sit there and I'll actually video fish them. I'll watch those fish and I'll move my bait up and down and I'll see how they're reacting. But sometimes they just want to be able to see it, predict it, and then say, okay, I'm eating it. You know what I mean? So again, adapting to, even though if they're there and you're getting them on the faster baits, don't be afraid to slow it down and get more fish. You know, change your presentation.
Yeah, because Kevin is going to be at the Northern Illinois Sports Show. The guy who owns Bink Spoons.
Yep.
And Cajun Rob wants to know if you troll any crankbaits in the summer months.
You know, I do. I do it up here in Hayward. I've been out to Lake Erie quite a bit this year. I love crankbait fishing. As a matter of fact, little shout out to my DeShano friends. Yeah, I just you're right. I'm still an OR12 board guy. I got my tattle flag on there. You know, it's a great way to pick up those light bites. But you know, I'll do everything from spinners to crankbaits. But to answer his question, absolutely, I've got a plethora of choices. I'm a big bandit guy, even here in Hayward, deep and shallow. I've got a really good custom painter out in Lake Erie, Ben Garrison, with Killing Time Custom Baits. Those guys out there in that area are just awesome at painting. But I love the presentation. I love to use flicker minnows and flicker shads up here, the old shad wraps.
Nothing like those baits.
Yep, I even have quite a bit of my old storm baits, the original storm baits, the hot tops, thunder sticks.
Yeah.
So to me,
it's
all about mimicking the bait that the fish are feeding on, right? So to answer his question again is know where you're at, know what they're feeding on, know what the time of year, what the bait size is. You don't want to put a big bait down when the bait is generally small, and vice versa. You want to be as consistent to the size and the body and the profile, and you know your colors too. You know, and a lot of days I'm running nothing but dark baits. If it's overcast, I've got dark baits on. I want those shadows for those fish to see. You know, and as that sun comes up a little bit, then I'm going to the lighter colors. You know, prisms and more shiny baits. You know,
Bruce DeShano and Tommy Scarlett were inducted into the freshwater fishing Hall of Fame in the last Northern Illinois Sports Show.
Yeah,
that was an emotional one. Was Tommy was sitting in his wheelchair. I wasn't there. I saw a video of it. That was an emotional one, man.
Yeah, we've lost a lot of patriarchs to the industry, no doubt.
You know, I fished with Tommy on Lake Winnebago back in 1998. That was a fun day. He had me laughing the whole day, just like Mike Hansen had you laughing.
Yeah. Oh, you can't. You got to have fun. I'm out in the boat, and you know, if someone fishes with me, the first thing we do is I'll shut the boat off. I'll go through a safety check. They know where all the Coast Guard stuff is. They know how to turn the boat on because it's all keyless now, right? They know where the Gatorade and the water is, and then I tell them, I hope you brought your thick skin because we're gonna have fun today.
Yeah.
And I get a lot of husband, wives. I get a lot of friend and friend. I had one trip this year. It was 6 college buddies. They did half-day trip in the morning, 3 of them, and then 3 in the afternoon. So there's a lot of competition, but
Yeah.
I love getting them cutting up and having fun because, you could sit there, and I've seen it before. You got someone in the boat. You could be the best fisherman in the world, but you also have to be a person, right? I
Yeah.
want them to learn something when they get off the boat. I want them to have fun. I want them to have memories. And yeah, I want them to come back or refer, their friends to me because I'm all about teaching. I've got people that'll come up, and say, hey, we're coming up in a month, really had fun with you. What's going on? I'll share information with them. I want them to catch fish. I want them to learn, and, but I also love to banter, love to have fun in the boat.
Absolutely. So Captain Bill, do you have any shout outs you'd like to do?
Yeah. First you, Jay, thank you. I love this new format, I feel like I should have a liney tapper on the back wall and pour you a beer right now from northern Wisconsin, but
Oh man, you give me some spotted cow. I love you.
yeah, I could do that. But no, I'm blessed. Of course, Jim Grant with Grant Industries. What a super guy. Um, I worked with him this year on a campaign for the National Freshwater Fishing Hall of Fame fundraising effort. He donated one of his grant rods, a $500 rod, and I donated a full day guide trip. And he raised thousands of dollars for the National Freshwater Fishing Hall of Fame. He's just a super guy.
There's another Hall of Fame member. We were talking about a couple of Hall of Fame members. Jim Grant is a Hall of Fame member.
He is. Him and his wife Jacqueline, they've got a place up close to us, up to me and Kelly here, and just an awesome person, an awesome couple. But he's also, very, very involved with the Northern Illinois Outdoor Sports Show. So thank you, Jim, for all you do for our industry, and it's very meaningful. My wife, of course, I always thank her for it. But I've got a list, Jay. But I'll go through some really quick ones. It's so important that we have backing out there because not only to help us on the tournaments, but to make us better fishermen and promote the products, right? I mean, if
Yes.
we're using them, that's one thing I don't do is I don't seek the endorsement of someone I don't believe in, but
Yes.
Lawrence has been awesome to me. I run 4 HDS 12 lives on my 621 FS Pro Ranger. Matter of fact, I'm getting a 5th one. I'm putting it on the back of the boat. So when I'm trolling, I can see my screen and not have to be turning around all the time. I always say spend it before the kids get it, Jay. So what the heck? One more graph on the boat, right? But thanks, Lawrence. Ranger Boats, no doubt, and Frankie's Marine in Chicago City. Just an awesome Ranger dealer, good friends of ours, and they help me out quite a bit along with Mercury. I run the power pole. I've used that so many times. I used it this year on Sturgeon Bay. I was fishing 4 foot, 5 foot of water, pitching hair jigs, and yeah, I was trolling crawler harnesses in 4 foot of water on Green Bay and doing well in the tournament. But shout out to them. Powertran, I've got a system on my boat, the iTroll, and it's a remote control steering, and the iTroll or the tail fin and the iTroll helps me with my speed control. Total boat control. Wave Pro, I'm a big guy. I've got a big boat and I run big water. They help me with my seats, my cushions. Of course, the Deshanos with offshore. I love them. I mean, I put my name on them. If I lose them, if you ever find one of my boards, call me, give it to me back. But love them. I put on the new OR 18 hard release. I'll be doing a lot of talking about that next week in Illinois. How to rig your boards. Don't just take them out of the package. Customize them to how you want to fish. Eagle Fishing, been a very, very good supporter of me with their new S2 slider net. Love the system, and of course, Walt Matan with Custom Jigs and Beef Fishing. Him. It's there.
Also, I knew his dad, Poppy.
Poppy, you bet, you bet. And they've been really good to me, as well as Northland and Okuma Fishing. So I'm blessed, and I thank God too, to allow me to do what I do, and hopefully teach and make a few people's days.
Okay, we have another comment from Cajun Rob. He said the Captain Bill is next level. He's old school all the way.
Thank you. One thing you learn about me, and I think Hansen's like this: if I say it, it's the truth, or I don't say it at all. I'm not going to give you a steer job just to, I'm me, and I'm no better than worse than anybody else. But there's one, and I appreciate that. Thank you for that comment and that recognition, because I work hard at that. That's something that's earned. It's not given in this industry. You've got one chance to make an impression, and don't blow it.
And this Cajun Rob, I know him pretty well. He's the same way, Bill. He's the same way.
But if Cajun Rob was ever in my boat and missed a walleye at the net, we'll have a strong conversation. You don't do that in my boat. I'm just kidding.
Probably the same way in his boat too.
I just say put the net back in the bottom and we'll get another one.
Yeah, there's plenty of walleyes in the lake, particularly in Lake Erie. So
yeah.
Well, hey, Bill, I know you're busy this time of the year. I'd like to thank you for taking time out of your schedule to come and talk to our viewers here on the Let's Talk Fishing podcast.
I appreciate the time. I've got a website out there. It's simple. It's my name at BillKutkaAngling.com. Reach out to me, email me questions.
Or go ahead. We got his phone number right up there on the screen.
Yep. Or text me or call me. Yep. I'm pretty responsive. So yeah, for sure.
And also I'd like to have everybody, let me get that going again. Guys, this is important. Our buddy Mike Hansen is in a bad way right now. If you go to the GoFundMe main page and search for Mike Hansen, isn't it his daughter that has that?
Yeah, Danielle with 2 L's. I'm looking it up again right now, Jay. Danielle Hansen. Yes. Yep.
She has a GoFundMe account for her father who's stricken with COVID, and he has a bad case of it, even worse than the one I had. And that's all I'm going to say about that. Please help him out if you can. Please say a prayer for him like I did earlier today. And with that, in closing, I'd like to tell you that Bill Kutka is going to be at the Northern Illinois Sports and Outdoors Show. That's going to be here. Geez, it's coming up quick, guys. It's going to be January 13th to the 16th of 2022 at the Lake County Fairgrounds in Grays Lake, Illinois. And with that, I'd like to thank Cajun Rob for his comments. And also I'd like to thank my very special guest, Bill Kutka.
Thank you, Jay. Really appreciate it.